We are given that y equals 0 when x is equal to 1. So we have one particular point given. Using this information, we have to solve this differential equation जो आपके यहाँ पर नजर आ रही है. Obtaining an expression for y square in terms of x. Right? तो y square को subject बनाना है इन पे, x की terms के अंदर आपको लेकर आना. So what do? The first step is going to be to separate the variables. So the first thing is going to be you need to separate the variables x and y. How do you do that? dy जिस साइड के ऊपर है वहां पे आपने सारी y वाली टर्म्स ले जानी है, जिस साइड पे dx है वहां पे आपने सारी x वाली टर्म्स ले जानी. ठीक है. So dy is on the left side, as a numerator में वो ऊपर है, dy left side के ऊपर. dx को अगर आप right पे ले जाओ, you get something like this: xy dy equals y square plus 4. अगर मैं dx को right side पे ले जाऊं, this is what I get. Now, if I input an integral sign here, what I'll get is I'll have xy on the left side. उसको मुझे with respect to y integrate करना पड़ेगा. मेरे पास x आ रहा है वहां पे. How do I do that? Similarly, on the right side, I have to integrate y square plus 4 with respect to x. Again, how would I do that? तो directly integrate नहीं करेंगे. हम क्या करेंगे? We could do that, but that's going to make it more complicated. What we do is y वाली terms को left पे ले जाना है, x वाली terms को right side पे ले जाना है. ठीक है? How do you do that? You say, you can write it as y over y square plus 4. y square plus 4 को नीचे आके divide कर दिया. x को right पे ले जाए. You've got 1 over x. Now you've got dy on the left side, you've got dx on the right side. So separating the variables is always going to be the first step here. Okay, y variables on one side, x variables on the right side. Then you integrate, and now it's normal integration process. It's not पहले integration करते आ रहे हो सारे functions की, उसी तरह से normal integration होएगी, और आपके पास automatically वही आ जाएगा जिसने कहा होगा y square in terms of x. So how do you do that? इस पे ln लग सकता है, right? Because the derivative of the denominator can come in the numerator somehow. Y square plus 4 का derivative क्या होएगा? 2y. We need 2 in the numerator. 2y in the numerator. So हम क्या करते हैं? We put a 2 there, and we put 1 over 2 outside. And now it becomes, on the left side, we get 1 over 2 log of y square plus 4. ठीक है? What about the right side? That's ln of x plus c. Integration हो गई. Now we have to make it y square in terms of x. लेकिन उससे पहले हम क्या कर सकते हैं? हम c की वैल्यू फिगर आउट कर सकते हैं. We are given that y is 0 when x is 1. ठीक है? We can input that value there and find the value of c first. थोड़ा सा आसान हो जाएगा. Otherwise, अब c की टर्म से पहले y square in terms of x निकाल लो, बाद में end पे कर लो. That's also fine. लेकिन अगर यहीं पे c की वैल्यू फिगर आउट कर लोगे तो एक वेरिएबल एक आप बस अननोन कम हो जाएगा. It's easier to work with. So what you do is you input x equals 1 and y equals 0. Let's input x equals 0, y equals 1. Oh, the other way around. X equals 1 and y equals 0. इसके अंदर input कर दें and see what you get. You have half ln of 0 square plus 4. That equals ln of 1 plus c. ln of 4 आ गया यहाँ पे. Half ln 4 equals c. c की ये value आ गई. ठीक है? We can also actually write it like this. We can say this is half ln 2 का square, right? And then c becomes ln 2. Because बाहर आपके पास 2 over 2 आ गया. ये ln 2 आपके पास बच गया. ठीक है? c is equal to ln of 2. c की वैल्यू आ गई. इसको वापस इनपुट कर दिया उसके अंदर. इसको फुली सॉल्व. You don't necessarily have to do it. You could actually leave it like this. लेकिन इसको decimals में नहीं लेकर जाना. Decimals में नहीं लेकर जाना. ठीक है? Because decimals में आपके exact number नहीं आएगा. You have to use exact values here. Now, what was our integral? अब वहां पे जाके वापस हम क्या करेंगे, हम इस c की वैल्यू इनपुट कर देंगे. Now we've got half ln y square plus 4 that equals ln of x plus ln 2. Now this is your solution to the differential equation. ये आपका solution तो आ गया, लेकिन उसने एक specific form मांगी आपसे. तो specific form क्या है? y square in terms of x. ठीक है, आपने डेरिवेटिव खत्म कर दी, आपने c की वैल्यू निकाल ली है. So this is, you know, your solution to the differential equation. अब इसको सिंप्लीफाई करना है और उस फॉर्म में लेके जाना है जो उसने कहा है. y square in terms of x. So we need to get rid of the log. सारी टर्म्स में log आ रहा है, क्या कर सकते हैं? We can have one log on both sides. ठीक है, लेफ्ट साइड पे हम क्या कर सकते हैं? We can say this is y square plus 4. इसको पावर में ले जाए 1/2, right? On the right side we have ln of 2 times x. Product rule use करके ln of 2x आ गया. Now we can get rid of the logs on both sides. We get y square plus 4 raised to power 1/2 that equals 2x. अब क्या करें? दोनों साइड्स को स्क्वायर कर दें. y square plus 4 equals 4x square and y square equals 4x square minus 4. Let's look at another one. The variables x and y satisfy this differential equation. dy over dx equals e raised to power 2x plus y. आपको x और y की कुछ वैल्यूज दी हुई हैं, इसको सॉल्व करने आपने obtaining y in terms of x. ठीक है, how do you do that? You're going to separate the variables first. x वाली टर्म्स एक साइड पे, y वाली टर्म्स एक साइड पे. y वाली टर्म्स लेफ्ट पे लेके जानी है बिकॉज dy लेफ्ट के ऊपर है, dx न्यूमरेटर में आएगा राइट साइड के ऊपर, तो x वाली टर्म्स राइट पे रखनी है. ठीक है, how do you separate these terms out? Yes, so we can write it as e raised to power 2x into e raised to power y. Right, we separate it out like this, and then it becomes e raised to power minus y dy equals e raised to power 2x dx. ठीक है, e raised to y दूसरी साइड पे जाएगा, डिनोमिनेटर में चला जाएगा, उसकी पावर पे नेगेटिव हो जाएगी, ऊपर आएगा. Is that okay, Momin? ठीक है, so that's what we get. And now we can integrate it. That's fairly straightforward. You put the integral sign on both sides. The left side to integrate with respect to y, and on the right side integrate with respect to x. What do you get? Minus e raised to power minus y. That's minus e raised to power minus y square integral. That equals e raised to power 2x divided by 2 plus c. Okay? So we just integrated both sides. What do we do at this point? We find the value of c. When x is 0, y is 0. हमें एक point पता है, तो हम क्या करते हैं? Let's input that. Put x equals 0 and y equals 0. What do we get from that? We have minus e raised to power 0 equals e raised to power 0 over 2 plus c. What do we get from that? Minus 1 equals 1 over 2 plus c. c equals minus 3 over 2, minus 1.5. ठीक है, that's the value of c. We input that value of c back in that equation, और हमारे पास उसका एक particular solution आ जाएगा. We input this here. We get minus e raised to power minus y equals e raised to power 2x over 2 minus 3 over 2. अच्छा, अब हम देखते हैं उसने क्या कहा था. Obtaining an expression for y in terms of x. ठीक है, हमने उसको सॉल्व तो कर लिया, अब हमें उसे उस फॉर्म में लेके जाना है, y in terms of x. So we have to make y the subject. So that's what we think about next. पहले तो 2 से मल्टीप्लाई कर दे सारी इक्वेशन को to get rid of the fraction. We get minus 2 e raised to power minus y, e raised to power 2x minus 3. What do we do now? How do we get rid of the e there? Log लेना पड़ेगा, right? दोनों sides के ऊपर to get rid of the exponent there. अच्छा, इसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं? सबसे पहले तो minus 2 को दूसरी साइड पे ले जाए. या सो वापस चले जाता है. हमें y को सब्जेक्ट बनाना है ना, तो हम क्या करते हैं, we can write it as e raised to power minus y equals 3/2 minus e raised to power 2x/2. ठीक है, नेगेटिव खत्म कर दिया सबसे पहले हमने। अब क्या करें, we take log on both sides, दोनों साइड्स पे log ले लें। क्या होता है, ln e raised to power minus y equals ln of 3/2 minus e raised to power 2x/2. ठीक है, now it becomes minus y ln e is 1, so that's ln of 3/2 minus e raised to power 2x/2. And now it becomes y equals minus ln of 3/2 minus e raised to power 2x divided by 2. That is your y in terms of x. Look at this. The variables x and y are related by the differential equation that's given here. Find the general solution. General solution का क्या मतलब है, आपको प्लस सी आ रहा होगा, आपको सी की वैल्यू फाइंड करने की जरूरत नहीं है इन द फर्स्ट पार्ट। ठीक है, आपने सिर्फ इंटीग्रेट करना है और आपके पास जो भी आपके पास आ जाएगा आपने उसको वैसे ही रखना है in terms of c. You've got dy over dx equals 1/5 xy whole raised to power 1/2 xy raised to power 1/2 into sine of 1/3x. अब क्या करें, सबसे पहला काम क्या करना है, वेरिएबल्स को सेपरेट करना है। Let's do that. We get 5 over y raised to power 1/2. अच्छा, 5 का 1/5 को राइट पे भी रख सकते हो, लेफ्ट पे भी रख सकते हो, इट डजंट रियली मैटर। मैं लेफ्ट पे इसलिए ले गया हूँ बिकॉज y वाला इंटीग्रल आसान है, तो कांस्टेंट हम लेफ्ट पे उस साइड पे रख लेते हैं। x वाला इंटीग्रल थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है। We have x sin 1/3x dx. ठीक है, हमने वेरिएबल्स को सेपरेट कर लिया, कांस्टेंट को किसी भी साइड पे रख सकते हो, इट डजंट मैटर। एंड नाउ वी इंटीग्रेट। लेफ्ट साइड पे हमारे पास क्या आ गया, 5y raised to power minus 1/2. On the right side we've got x sin 1/3x. How do we integrate this thing? It's a product में क्या ऑप्शन होती है, इंटीग्रेशन बाय पार्ट्स, राइट। सब्स्टिट्यूशन का तो उसने नहीं कहा हुआ, ठीक है। क्योंकि ये प्रोडक्ट है, हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा, हमें प्रोडक्ट यूज करना पड़ेगा। द ओनली अदर ऑप्शन वाज सब्स्टिट्यूशन, लेकिन सब्स्टिट्यूशन का जब उसने नहीं कहा हुआ, दैट मींस कि इंटीग्रेशन बाय पार्ट्स ही हो रहा होगा, ठीक है। So which one of them do we take as u? X को u लेंगे because that's an algebraic expression. Trigonometric को we take as dv over dx. And now we apply integration by parts. Integration by parts का formula हमारे पास क्या होता है? It's u dv over dx. dx equals uv minus integral of v du over dx with respect to x. ठीक है, उसमें वैल्यूज इनपुट करनी है सर। So we have u times v, u is x, sine 1/3x का integral. Sine का integral is minus cos, right? So we have minus cos 1/3x divided by 1/3. Okay, so that's u times v. Minus integral of v. v क्या है? It's minus cos 1/3x again divided by 3 divided by 1/3 multiplied by du over dx, which is just 1. We have to integrate this thing now. ठीक है, लेफ्ट साइड पे क्या आ गया, 5y raised to power minus 1/2 का इंटीग्रल, इंक्रीज द पावर बाय 1, इसमें पावर रूल लगेगा, राइट। y की पावर है कोई, 5y raised to power 1/2 divided by 1/2. On the right side, we've got, let's simplify this, we have minus 3x into cos of 1/3x plus 3 integral of cos 1/3x. ठीक है, पहले मैं इसको सिंप्लीफाई कर लिया ताकि इंटीग्रेशन थोड़ी आसान हो जाए। 3 को बाहर लेके जो डिनोमिनेटर में था वो न्यूमरेटर में ऊपर आ गया, ये दो माइनस साइंस है, दे बिकम प्लस, एंड नाउ वी गॉट दिस 10 अंडर रूट वाई और y is power 1/2 equals minus 3x cos 1/3x plus 3 cos का इंटीग्रल साइन होता है, तो साइन 1/3x divided by 1/3 plus c. ठीक है, we simplify this a bit more and we get 10y raised to power 1/2 equals minus 3x cos 1/3x plus 9 sin 1/3x plus c. उसने मैं क्या कहा था, find the general solution. So this is the general solution. इसमें c की terms में आ रहा है, डेरिवेटिव खत्म कर दिया, लेकिन we have to have y in terms of x. तो y in terms of x बनाना पड़ेगा, 10 को साइड पे ले जाए, so 10 को जाके डिवाइड कर दें and then take square root, right? So let's do that. We have then take square, in fact, not square root. We have y raised to power 1/2 equals minus 3/10x cos 1/3x plus 9/10 sin 1/3x plus c/10, which is actually just another constant, right? अच्छा, c/10 आ जाएगा ना, तो c/10 को we can call another constant. Let's call that d. Okay, c/10 भी लिख सकते हैं, that's fine, लेकिन हम वो ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेट होता जाएगा फिर। अगर कांस्टेंट ही है और तो किसी से मल्टीप्लाई डिवाइड हो रहा है, उसका कोई और कांस्टेंट बना दो। Does that make sense? Okay, you can just keep it as c/10 as well, that's also fine. Okay, सिर्फ c नहीं रख सकते बिकॉज पहले c था, अब वो c/10 हो गया, इट हैज टू बी सम अदर कांस्टेंट, कोई भी और लेटर डाल दो। c भी डाल देंगे, गलत नहीं करेगा, बट दैट्स नॉट मैथमेटिकली एक्यूरेट। लेकिन आप पहले कुछ और यूज कर लो फिर, राइट? एग्जामिनर मार्क्स नहीं काटेगा आपको उसके ऊपर, लेकिन इट्स नॉट एक्यूरेट। पहले आपके पास वो c/10 था, उसको आपने c बना दिया, डजंट लुक गुड, राइट? ओके, स्क्वायर कर दिया दोनों साइड्स के ऊपर, यू हैव y equals, in fact I'll just do that there, and दोनों साइड्स को स्क्वायर कर दें, and that's it. You don't have to expand it, so expand करने नहीं बैठना, सब बस सिर्फ ये आ गया, y equals minus 3x/10 into cos of 1/3x plus 9/10 sin 1/3x plus some constant whole squared. That is y in terms of x. नहीं, you don't have to do anything. बस जस्ट मेक श्योर आप कुछ ऐसा लेटर यूज करें जो ऑलरेडी यूज नहीं हो रहा। c/10 भी कर सकते हैं, that's okay. Okay, in case that's confusing, I'll just do that. I'll just say this is c/10 and then c/10. ठीक है? Okay, अब क्या करें? That's y in terms of x. ये हमारे पास जनरल सोल्यूशन आ गया, ठीक है? Now in the second part it says, given that y equals 100 when x equals 0, find the value of y when x equals 25. तो बस आपने पहले c की वैल्यू फाइंड करनी है, उसका इनपुट करके फिर आपने x 25 इनपुट करना है, y की वैल्यू निकालनी है, राइट? x 0, y 100. Find the value of y when x is 25. So x 25 है, तो y क्या है? Okay, that's what we have to do. Let's input values. Could do that, yes. So आप square root वाली फॉर्म यूज कर लें, कर सकते हैं। I'll just input value in this और हम देखते हैं क्या आता है। 100 equals minus 3 into 0 divided by 10 into cos 1/3x। अच्छा आपको सारे लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको पता है पूरा 0 हो रहा है, राइट? 3x/10 है ना, तो x की वैल्यू जब 0 इनपुट करोगे, what do you get? You get 0 here. What I'm doing is I'm inputting x equals 0 and y equals 100 here. That's what we're doing. Okay, 0 plus 9/10 into sine of 0, which is also 0, plus c/10 का whole square. आपके पास क्या बच गया? c²/100, or you can just say c/10 का whole square equals 100. ठीक है, तो c/10 equals 10 and c equals 100. अब हमें क्या करना है? x की when x is 25 आपको y फाइंड करना है. Let's figure that out. हमारे पास क्या इक्वेशन बन गया? वो y equals -3x/10 cos 1/3x plus 9/10 sin 1/3x plus 100. So c was 100/10, right? 100/10 whole squared. ठीक है, अब क्या करेंगे? x की वैल्यू इनपुट कर देंगे 25 and get the value of y from that. अब उसने हमें क्वेश्चन में कुछ नहीं कहा हुआ कि आपको एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू चाहिए, क्या चाहिए, डजंट मैटर, यू कैन पुट दिस इन डेसिमल्स. ठीक है, आपको एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू नहीं कहा हुआ उसने, आप बस वैल्यू इनपुट करोगे. -3 into 25/10 into cos of 25/3 plus 9/10 into sine of 25/3 plus 10 and then whole square of that whole thing. ये आप पूरा कैलकुलेटर में इवैल्यूएट करेंगे और देख लेंगे आपके पास y की वैल्यू क्या आती है. 203.278, so that's 28. Given that x equals 1 when t equals 0, we have to solve this differential equation. How do we solve a differential equation? We first have to separate the variables. ठीक है, dx/dt. How do we separate these variables? So यहाँ पे पहले LCM ले लेते हैं. It becomes 4x, and the numerator we've got 4 minus x square. ठीक है, we take the x terms to the left side, t terms to the right side. X terms, सारी x terms here. We take everything to the left. It becomes 4x over 4 minus x square dx equals dt. ठीक है, now we integrate both sides. दोनों sides को integrate कर दिया. On the left side we've got a log form, or we can convert it to a log form. Denominator का derivative क्या होगा? -2x. We need -2x in the numerator. ठीक है, इसका एक तरीका क्या है? आप 4 को बाहर ले जाओ, अंदर आपके पास x over 4 minus x square है, right? And all you do now is multiply by -2 and divide by -2. ठीक है, -2 चाहिए था, -2 से मल्टीप्लाई भी कर दिया, -2 से डिवाइड भी कर दिया. Now it has converted to that log form. On the right side we've got dt का integral. What is that? That's just t, right? dt लिखा हुआ है, इसका मतलब 1 into dt है. 1 का इंटीग्रल क्या होगा? t. c आप अभी ऐड कर दें, एंड पे जाके कर दें, it's your choice. Now you've got -2 outside. This is -2. Inside you've got the log form, so it becomes -2 ln of 4 minus x square, that equals t plus c. That's the solution of the differential equation, the general solution of the differential equation. अब हमें देखना है हमें किस फॉर्म में चाहिए exactly. इसने क्या फॉर्म चाहिए आपको? x square in terms of t, and you also have a point given, तो c भी फाइंड करना. ठीक है. अच्छा, let's find C first. X equals 1 when t equals 0. Let's input that there. Put x equals 1 when time is 0. What do we get? We get minus 2 ln of 4 minus 1 plus square. That equals 0 plus c. We get minus 2 ln 3 equals c. C की value आ गई हमारे पास. We put that back in that equation. और हमारे पास वो equation आ गई, that is minus 2 ln of 4 minus x square. That equals t minus 2 ln 3. ठीक है. Now we have to write it in a form that's x square in terms of t. x square को subject बनाना. ठीक है. Log को खत्म करना है किसी तरह से. How can we get rid of log there? Any ideas? ln को ln के साथ ले जाए. So that's one idea. We can take everything to the left side. That is in terms of logs. So it becomes 2 ln 3 minus 2 ln 4 minus x square equals t. We take 2 to the power, or we can take 2 common और दूसरे पे जाके divide कर दें square की बजाय. We take 2 common and we divide that to the other side. Otherwise, the squares हो जाएंगे. We want to avoid that. ln of 4 minus x square 2 को जाके divide कर देते साइड पे. हम 2 को पावर में इसलिए लेके नहीं गए तो 3 स्क्वायर का तो मसला नहीं है. यहाँ पे अगर स्क्वायर हो जाता तो वो x raised to power 4 में चला जाता तो काफी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो जाता. इसलिए हमने 2 को कॉमन लेके हम दूसरी साइड पे ले गए. Is that okay? Okay. What do we get now? We have ln 3 over 4 minus x square equals t over 2. So what we're doing is we've taken this 2 to the other side. That becomes t over 2. अंदर जो log वाला part है उसमें हमने जो उसका division rule है log का वो apply कर दिया. ठीक है. We've got subtraction outside, log के अंदर division हो जाएगी. We get this thing. Now it becomes 3 over 4 minus x square. ln की base क्या होती है? e. E goes to the other side and becomes the base of t over 2. It becomes e raised to power t over 2. Okay. And now we can just make x square the subject. So cross multiply कर लें यहाँ पे. We have 3 over e raised to power t over 2 equals 4 minus x square. And then x square equals 4 minus 3 over e raised to power t over 2. Let's have a look at this. We have this experiment. उसमें उसने बताया हुआ है कि there's a total area of 10 meters square that is exposed to infection. The infected area grows at a rate which is proportional to the product of the infected area and the uninfected area. ये आपको relationship दिया हुआ है जो आपको use करना है to form the equation. You got a point. ये आपको information दी हुई है कि एक specific point के ऊपर आपके पास values क्या आ रही हैं. ठीक है. अच्छा. Now it says at time t days, so one variable is t here, the time. After the start of the experiment, an area A is infected. Infected area को उसने A से represent किया. And 10 minus A is uninfected, right? जो 10 total area था, अगर A infected है, uninfected would be 10 minus A. So how do you form this equation now? Infected area grows at a rate. Infected area the rate of growth. What is that? That's dA over dt. And infected area को A से represent किया हुआ है. So dA over dt, that is the rate of growth of the infected area. This is where it's coming from. It's proportional to the product of the infected area. Right here. Product of the infected area. What is the infected area? A. And the uninfected area, that's 10 minus A. And we have a K with that. It's proportional to that. So that's K times this. Is that okay? And now we have to find the value of K from that. हमारे पास information क्या क्या दी हुई है? अच्छा, initially का क्या मतलब होता है? Initially का क्या मतलब होता है? Time 0. Initially time 0 था. 5 meters square was infected. That means A is 5. Rate of growth that was dA over dt, that was equal to 0.1. ये हमारे पास एक स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट दिया हुआ है, इसको जाके इनपुट कर देंगे, उसके अंदर हमारे पास k की वैल्यू आ जाएगी. So dA over dt 0.1, k is unknown, a is 5. We will evaluate this. हमारे पास यहाँ से आएगा 25k equals 0.1. What is k? 0.1 over 25. क्या आता है? 0.004 आ रहा है? 0.004, that's the value of k. So dA over dt therefore is 0.004 into a into 10 minus a. So now in a certain industrial process, there's a substance that is produced in a container. The mass of the substance in the container, t minutes, so there's one variable here, that's t, time के लिए t use करें. After the start of the process is x grams. Mass is x, so x से हमने mass represent किया हुआ है. This is your mass. At any point, the rate of formation of the substance is proportional to its mass. This is the relationship that you're given. Rate of formation of the substance is proportional to the mass. Also, throughout the process, the substance is removed from the container at a constant rate of 25 grams per minute. So there's also a removal there. एक तो form हो रहा है और इसके साथ move भी हो रहा है container. And then you are given a point. You have to show that x and t satisfy this differential equation. Okay, let's try to do this. Rate of formation of the substance is proportional to its mass. Rate of formation of substance, that's dx over dt. Kitna mass of substance ka increase ho raha hai? Mass is represented by x here, so that's dx over dt. It is proportional to its mass. What is that? K times x. Mass is again represented by x here. Right? That's the rate of formation. And the substance is also removed from the container at a constant of 25 grams per minute. What do? Minus 25. So we subtract from this 25. Subtract 25 from this. Okay? And now we have to find the value. Okay, we have a point given. We are given that when x is 1000, dx over dt is 75. Just input that. Put x equals 1000 and dx over dt equal to 75. Okay, so input that. We have 75 equal to k times 1000 minus 25. Let's give the 1000 k equals 100 and k equals 0.1. So now the equation becomes dx over dt equals 0.1x minus 25. Now what were we given? 0.1 into x minus 250. How can we make it that? Take 0.1 common, right? 0.1 common le lenge. So we get x minus 25 over 0.1, which is 250. This is what we have. So this is the equation that we had to form. Is that okay? Any questions on this? No? Okay, let's try another one. So इसके बाद आपको solve करना differential equation को obtain an expression and for x in terms of t. You can do that, separate the variables, integrate both sides, or for x in terms of t कर लेना. A rectangular reservoir has a horizontal base of 1000 meters square. ये area दिया हुआ है आपको. उसकी base का. At time t is equal 0, it is empty. So initial area is initial volume of whatever is inside it is 0. Achha, water is inside it. So initially there's no water inside, and then water begins to flow into it at a constant rate of 30 meter cube per second. This is the rate of inflow. इनफ्लो रेट आपके पास ये आ रहा है, ठीक है। At the same time, water begins to flow out at a rate proportional to square root of h. Outflow का rate भी दिया हुआ है. There's some inflow, there's some outflow. H represents the depth of the water at time t seconds. So H is the height or depth of the water, and T represents the time. और हमारे पास कुछ specific values दी हुई हैं, show that H satisfies this particular equation. dH over dt is equal to this. अच्छा, we will go back and see कि हमारे पास relationship उसने क्या दिया हुआ था. There's water inflow at a rate of 30 meter cube per second. 30 meter cube per second किस चीज का रेट है? dV over dt. V क्या represent कर रहा है? Volume. So this is volume of water. This is not height of water. इसको हम dH over dt नहीं लिख सकते. Water inflow जो है, water को हम किससे, water की amount कैसे measure करते हैं? Volume के अंदर आपको unit से भी अंदाजा हो रहा है, it's meter cube. Height का unit meter cube नहीं होता. This is volume of water, right? We can find the volume. उसको देखते हैं, but let's try to formulate some equation from this first. Rate of change of volume, that's dV over dt, right? V से हम क्या represent कर रहे हैं? V से हम represent कर रहे हैं volume of water. What is the rate of change of volume here? 30 is the inflow, so we have 30. Then there's some outflow that is proportional to square root of h. क्या subtract करें? Under root of h subtract कर दें. K of h, right? Minus k into square root of h, because it's proportional to that. Exact value हमें नहीं पता. Minus k into square root of h. क्योंकि वो outflow हो रहा है ना, उसमें से निकल रहा है पानी. Is that okay? So inflow कितना था? 30. Outflow कितना है? K into square root of h. Inflow minus outflow, that's what we're doing. And this is an equation that we have in terms of V here. ठीक है, हम इसमें values जो दिए हैं वो क्या है? Values are for h equals 1 and dH over dt उसने दिया हुआ, that's 0.02. ये हमारे पास dV over dt आ गया. हमें show क्या करना है? dH over dt. How can we find dH over dt from dV over dt? We said we will have to use the chain rule. dH over dt find करना है. dH over dt. The third variable is V. dH over dV into dV over dt. dV over dt हमारे पास है. The problem is dH over dV. How do you find that? It's a rectangular reservoir. What does that mean? Rectangular reservoir. Base rectangle है. उसकी shape क्या है reservoir की? Cuboid, right? It's a cuboid. Cuboid का volume क्या होता है? Length into width into height. So that's the volume of a cuboid. Length into width into height. हमें क्या पता है? हम उसने base के area बता दिया. So length into width हमें पता है एक तरह से. So that's what is that? 1000. 1000 is basically length into width. So 1000 into h is your V. Does that sound okay? So it's a shape like this. I'll just make that quickly here. ये base के area बता दिया उसका. This area was 1000 meter square. हमें इसका volume चाहिए. Volume कैसे आएगा? इसका हमें सिर्फ इसकी height से multiply कर दिया. 1000 को height से multiply कर दिया. Is that okay? अच्छा. V equals 1000 h. उससे हम dV over dH find कर सकते हैं. उसको differentiate कर लें. dV over dH is going to be 1000. तो dH over dV क्या हो जाएगा? इसका reciprocal. So we've got 1 over 1000 multiplied by dv over dt, which is 30 minus k into square root of h, and that is dh over dt. ये हमारे पास equation बन गया in terms of dh over dt and h. Clear है सबको? Any problems? Now we have to find the value of k. उसके लिए उसने point दिया हुआ when h is 1, dh over dt is 0.02. We just input that here. Let's input h equals 1 and dh over dt 0.02. इसके अंदर input कर दें 0.02 equals 1 over 1000 multiplied by 30 minus k into 1. 1000 into 0.02, 20 equals 30 minus k equals 10. k की वैल्यू 10 आ गई, बजा के इनपुट कर दें वहां पे. (0.01). So we have 1 over 1000 into 30 minus 10 into square root of h. हमने k की वैल्यू इनपुट की वापस उसके अंदर. k की वैल्यू क्या थी? 10. We input that there. We can take 10 common. It becomes 10 over 1000 into 3 minus square root of h. 10 over 1000 gives us 0.01 into 3 minus square root of h. That's dh over dt that I had assigned. So it says the number of insects in a population t days after the start of observations is denoted by n. The variation in the number of insects is modeled by a differential equation of this form. So you are already given the differential equation. आपको खुद से बनानी नहीं है. You're given that k is a constant and n is taken to be a continuous variable. N is the number of insects. N को उसने कहा कि as a continuous variable treat करें, even though the number of insects cannot be in decimals, but we are given that we can assume it to be continuous variable still. It is given that n equals 125 when time equals 0. Solve this differential equation, obtaining a relationship between n, k, and t. Okay, let's do the first part. ताकि हम उसके बाद बाकी parts देख सकें. We have to solve this differential equation. dn over dt equals kn cos 0.02 t. Okay, first of all, how do you find the value of k? We are given that n equals 25 and time equals 0. k की value figure out कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे? हमें n की और t के दरमियान में रिलेशनशिप चाहिए, तो k की वैल्यू हमें निकालने की जरूरत नहीं है. सो n की और t की टर्म्स में निकालना है, तो k की वैल्यू निकालने की जरूरी नहीं है. What we do is we directly apply the integration process. किस तरह आएगा? n टर्म्स को अलग कर लें, t टर्म्स को अलग कर लें. Yes, so we've got n here. We can take n to the left side. That becomes 1 over n dn. Everything else does not contain n. So we can keep that there. It's k cos of 0.02 t dt. ठीक है? Variables को हमने separate कर लिया. Right side पे सिर्फ t है, left side पे सिर्फ n है. Now we integrate. दोनों sides को integrate कर लें. On the left side, it becomes ln of n. On the right side, we've got a constant. K is a constant. Constant को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. It stays as it is. The integral of cos is sine. So that becomes sine of 0.02 t. And then divided by 0.02, the derivative of what is inside, plus c. ठीक है? So that's your solution. लेकिन उसने क्या कहा है? आपने इसको सिंप्लीफाई करके n की और t के दरमियान रिलेशनशिप निकालना है. c को आपने खत्म करना है. c एलिमिनेट करना है. ठीक है? You given a point when n is 25, time is equal to 0. You input that there. When n is 125, Yeah, so T0 and 125, you input that there. What we get from that is ln of 125 equals k sine of 0 divided by 0.02, and C turns out to be ln of 125. ठीक है, साइन 0 हो जाएगा, साइन 0 0 हो जाता है, वो सारी टाइम 0 हो जाएगी. We are only left with C there, so C equals ln of 125. ये वैल्यू वापस इनपुट कर दें उसके अंदर. We get ln of n equals, yeah, you could do that. ये just 0.02 आपके पास डिनोमिनेटर में आ रहा है, इसका ऊपर लेके जा सकते हो किस तरह से. 1/0.02 evaluate कर लें, that turns out to be 50, so it becomes 50k into sine of 0.02t plus ln of 125. अच्छा, उसने कहा था obtain a relationship between n, k and t. This is a relationship between n, k and t. You don't have to do anything else with this. You can leave it at this point and that's perfectly okay. उसने आपको ये नहीं कहा कि आपको एक वेरिएबल को सब्जेक्ट बनाना है. You're not given any such requirement. You've eliminated C की वैल्यू आपने figure out कर ली है, and now you have a relationship that only contains n, k and t. You can just leave it at this point and that will be okay for this part. Okay. Achha, let's look at what we're asked about in the next part. Given that n is 166 when time is 30, find the value of k. तो आप वो एक और point उसके अंदर input कर दो, वहां से k की value आ जाएगी. Let's do that. In part 3, we are given that n is 166 when time is 30. So put t equals 30 and n 166. And see what you get from that. ln of 166 equals 50k into sine of 0.02 times 30 plus ln of 125. ठीक है, इसको आप सिंप्लीफाई कर लें और देख लें आपके पास क्या आता है. Okay, so you get ln 166 minus ln 125 equals 50k into sine of this thing. हम इसको भी नीचे लेके आ सकते हैं. It becomes 50 sine of what? 0.02 into 30 क्या आएगा? 0.2 into 3, that's 0.6. So sine of 0.6. ठीक है? This is what k turns out to be. इसको simplify कर लें, इसको evaluate कर लें from your calculator and see what you get. Okay. Okay, 0.010047, so that's 0.005. Hey, you can actually leave it at 0.01 as well, and that's perfectly okay. So that's the value of k, 0.01. ठीक है, ये फाइंड करना था हमें. कोई मसला नहीं होता. Minimum number is 3. Minimum number should be 3 significant figures. उससे ज्यादा accuracy हो जाए कोई मसला नहीं है, उससे कम नहीं होनी चाहिए. ठीक है, आप बेशक पूरे डेसिमल लगता है वहां पे, that's fine. लेकिन उसको राउंड ऑफ बहुत कम नहीं करना कि आपकी एक्यूरेसी बहुत कम हो. तो 3 से कम सिग्निफिकेंट फिगर्स नहीं रखने, ज्यादा हो सकता है. अच्छा, obtain expression for n in terms of t and find the least value of n predicted by this model. So I actually did this question just for this part. Find the least value of n predicted by this model. Let's think about that. अब उसने क्या कहा है, n in terms of t निकालना. k की वैल्यू आ गई हमारे पास. Okay, part 4. What was the differential equation? It was ln of n equals 50k, so that's 50 into 0.01005 sine of 0.02t plus ln 25. This is our equation now. इसको simplify कर लें. 50 into 0.01005. What do we get from that? 0.5025 into sine of 0.02t plus ln of 125. Now, how do we obtain n in terms of t from this? n in terms of t कैसे करेंगे? Integrate करके? Okay. So we can take the log terms on one side. So that's good. We can say this is ln minus ln of 125. Take the log terms to one side. On the right side, we're left with 0.5025 sine of 0.02t. ठीक है? अब left side पे हम क्या कर सकते हैं? We can write it as ln of n over 125, and that gives us 0.5025 sine 0.02t. हमारे पास हो जाएगा n over 125. That's e raised to power 0.5025 sine of 0.02t, and then n equals 125 e raised to power 0.5025 sine 0.02t. This is what we get. उसमें मसला नहीं है. अच्छा, n की n हमारे पास आ गया in terms of this. Yes. उसने कहा था obtain an expression for n in terms of t. We have done that. n को हमने subject बना लिया. Now the second thing is interesting. Find the least value of n predicted by this model. n की least value यहाँ पे क्या हो सकती है? एक तो हमारे पास 125 आ रहा है बाहर. 125 is just a number, right? उसको तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा, उसमें तो कोई वेरिएबल नहीं है. वेरिएबल हमारे पास सिर्फ यहाँ पे इस पार्ट के अंदर आ रहा है. ठीक है, अब हमने देखना है कि इसकी लीस्ट वैल्यू कब हो सकती है. e raised to power something, इसकी लीस्ट वैल्यू हमारे पास क्या हो सकती है? अच्छा, इन जनरल e raised to power anything can at least be zero. जीरो से ऊपर, जीरो से नीचे तो नहीं जा सकता. कम से कम जीरो हो सकता है. लेकिन जीरो कब होता है? जीरो कब होता है? जब इसकी पावर में नेगेटिव इन्फिनिटी आ जाए. लेकिन यहाँ पे क्या नेगेटिव इन्फिनिटी आ सकती है हमारे पास? पावर में नेगेटिव इन्फिनिटी यहाँ पे नहीं आ सकती. Essentially what we're going to do is we are going to look for the minimum value of this thing. इसकी मिनिमम वैल्यू हमारे पास क्या होगी? पावर की मिनिमम वैल्यू क्या हो सकती है आपको? So इस पावर की मिनिमम वैल्यू again you've got 0.5025, वो इसके साथ मल्टीप्लाई हो रहा है किसके साथ? साइन ऑफ 0.02t के साथ. साइन की मिनिमम वैल्यू क्या होती है? -1. So that's how we think of it. We say minimum value of sine 0.02t is basically -1. साइन की मिनिमम वैल्यू ये होती है. ठीक है, that is what is going to give us the minimum value of n. Because देखिए 125 उससे तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा. That's just a constant. The only thing that can change is this variable t. आपने देखा है वेरिएबल कहाँ पे आ रहा है? वेरिएबल सिर्फ इस पार्ट में आ रहा है t में. हम इस पावर को मिनिमाइज करना चाहते हैं. इस पावर को मिनिमाइज करने का क्या तरीका है कि साइन आपका मिनिमाइज हो जाए. साइन की मिनिमम वैल्यू क्या हो सकती है? That's -1, right? We know that sine goes between -1 and 1. इसकी मिनिमम वैल्यू -1 हो सकती है. तो हम क्या करेंगे, सिर्फ यहाँ पे साइन की जगह -1 इनपुट कर देंगे. 125 e raised to power 0.5025 into -1, and you just evaluate what you get from this. Okay, what do we get? Yes, so you get 75.65. That is the least possible value of n in this. But in most problems like these, 63, but in most problems like these, you'll have to think of the function इस फंक्शन को आप देखोगे तो आप देखो कि अच्छा इसको कैसे मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि या तो ये e की पावर्स में आ रहा होगा या इसमें लॉग आ रहा होगा कहीं पे। आपको इसमें थोड़ा सा लॉजिकली सोचना पड़ेगा कि इसको किस तरह से मिनिमाइज करेंगे। जहां पे भी वेरिएबल आ रहा है उस वेरिएबल को आप सोचोगे कि अच्छा इसके अराउंड हम चीज को कैसे मिनिमाइज या मैक्सिमाइज कर सकते हैं। कुछ सिंपल एग्जांपल से स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं। Okay, so there's a model for the height 8 meters of a certain type of tree at time t years. There's one variable 8 meters. Then you have t years. You have t, that's another variable. Height after being planted, while the tree is growing. So we have the height at time t years after being planted. Years after being planted. It assumes that while the tree is growing, the rate of increase in height is proportional to 9 minus h whole raised to power 1/3. This is the statement that's actually telling you the relationship. Rate of increase in height. How do you translate that to a mathematical form? dh over dt. So that's dh over dt. Okay? Is proportional to 9 minus h whole raised to power 1/3. Is equal to k times 9 minus h whole square. अच्छा इसने यहाँ पे नहीं बताया कि वो directly proportional है, inversely proportional है. If it doesn't state that explicitly, you assume that to be directly proportional. ठीक है, उसने आपको नहीं बताया directly है, inversely है, आपने उसमें क्या करना है, directly assume करना. Okay? So dh over dt, that's equal to k times 9 minus h whole raised to power 1/3. That's the equation that you're getting, unless we're given something else as well. It is given that, okay, so that's it. In terms of the relationship, this is what it looks like. Okay? It is given that when t is equal to 0, h is 1, and dh over dt is 0.2, show that h and t satisfy this differential equation. ये आपको show करना है. ये differential equation हमारे पास ये form आ गई है. It's very similar to that. K की value निकालनी है इसके अंदर. ठीक है? How do you find the value of k? Yes, so we have the value of dh over dt. और क्या इसके अंदर आ रहा है? h आ रहा है. At that point, we've got h as well. So we just input those things here. We say, let's input h equals 1 and dh over dt equal to 0.2. इसके अंदर input कर देंगे k की value आज. ठीक है? So let's input 0.2 equals k into 9 minus 1 whole raised to power 1/3. Yeah, so that's 2k equals 0.2 and k equals 0.1. In the second part, it says, solve this differential equation and obtain an expression for h in terms of t. Okay, let's do that quickly. h in terms of t निकाल लें. इसको सॉल्व करने हैं. इसने आपको स्पेसिफिक वैल्यूज क्या दी हुई हैं? t0 h1 and dh over dt 0.2. t0 h1 dh over dt 0.2. We found value of k from that, yes. But जब c find करना होगा हमें integrate करने के बाद. Okay, so dh over dt is equal to this. हम क्या करेंगे? Variables को separate कर लेते हैं पहले. We can say this is 1 over 9 minus h whole raised to power 1/3 dh. h वाली terms को left पे ले गए. Constant की आपकी मर्जी है, उसको आप left पे, आप उसको left पे लेकर आ सकते हो या वहीं पे छोड़ सकते हो. That's your choice. 0.1 dt. ठीक है, वेरिएबल्स को सेपरेट कर लिया. नाउ वी इंटीग्रेट बोथ साइड्स. इसको इंटीग्रेट कर लेते हैं, इसको इंटीग्रेट कर लेते हैं. लेफ्ट साइड कैसे इंटीग्रेट होएगी? We can take that to the numerator, right? It's something linear. अंदर linear है, हम इसको लिख सकते हैं 9 minus h whole raised to power minus 1/3 dh. On the right side, we've got 0.1 t plus c. ठीक है, उसकी तो इंटीग्रेशन सिंपल है. लेफ्ट साइड पे क्या आएगा? We have 9 minus h whole raised to power minus 1 over 3 plus 1, which is 2 over 3. Divide by that same power. And also divide by the derivative of this thing, which is minus 1. Because minus 1 भी यहाँ पे आ जाएगा. ठीक है? This is what you have. Integrate कर लिया. अब इसको simplify कर लेते हैं थोड़ा सा. Minus ऊपर ले जाएं तो हमारे पास बन गया minus 9 minus h whole raised to power 2 over 3. You've got 3 outside as well. So it becomes minus 3 over 2. Okay. अब हमें c की वैल्यू फिगर आउट करनी है. वो पॉइंट इनपुट कर दें. We know that when time is equal to 0, h is equal to 1. We input that here. Let's input t0 and h1. What do we get from that? We have minus 3 into 9 minus 1 whole raised to power 2 over 3 divided by 2. That equals 0 plus c. So c आ गया 8 का cube root, that's 2, 2 into 2, that's 4. Minus 6 नहीं आता? I think it's minus 6. Minus 6, right? C is equal to minus 6. C की वैल्यू minus 6 आ गई. वो जाके इनपुट कर दें. उस इक्वेशन के अंदर वापस इसमें इनपुट की. We get minus 3 to 9 minus h whole raised to power 2 over 3 divided by 2. Yeah. That's 8 का cube root, which is 2. 2 square is 4. So this is what we get. ये हमारे पास आ गया h और t का रिलेशनशिप. अब हमें क्या करना था? हम उसने कहा था h in terms of t. h को सब्जेक्ट बनाना है. ठीक है. Now let's take 2 to the other side और 3 से डिवाइड कर देते हैं. We get 9 minus h whole raised to power 2 over 3 on the other side. Minus 2 over 3 जाके मल्टीप्लाई हो रहा होगा. 2 multiply 3 divide और नेगेटिव साइन भी लेके जा रहे हैं वहां पे. 0.1 t, or let's actually just do it step by step. We've got minus 2 over 3, इसको मल्टीप्लाई कर रहे हैं 2.1 t minus 6 के साथ. ठीक है. This becomes 9 minus h whole raised to power 2 over 3. That's 0.2 divided by 3. वो तो exact नहीं आएगा. Minus, okay. So minus 0.2 over 3, what's that? 0. इसको फ्रैक्शन में कर सकते हैं. फ्रैक्शन में लेके क्या आता है? 0.2 over 3. 1 over 15. ये हमारे पास आ जाएगा. आप कैलकुलेटर से कर रहे हैं, राइट? Minus 2 over 3 into 0.1 करें. कैलकुलेटर आपको फ्रैक्शन में रिजल्ट दे देगा. As a fraction like that, you say this is 1. And then minus 2 over 3 into minus 6, that's 4. 4. ठीक है? Okay. What do we do now? We take cube root, or we cube both sides and take power वहां पे दूसरी साइड पे लगा दें. Does that make sense? तो यहाँ पे 2 over 3 पावर थी. हम क्या कर सकते हैं? हम लोग 9 से equals minus 1 over 15 t plus 4. ये पावर दूसरी साइड पे जाके क्या हो जाएगी? It's going to become 3 over 2. इस तरह हमारे पास एक साइड पे स्क्वायर, दूसरी पे जाके वो स्क्वायर रूट बन जाता है. और not exactly. What we're doing is हम यहाँ पे एक तो क्यूब रूट ले रहे हैं. Sorry. Exactly do it. हम इसको खत्म करने के लिए, इस पावर को खत्म करने के लिए हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हम रेज टू पावर 3 कर रहे हैं और स्क्वायर रूट ले रहे हैं. 3 ताकि वो पावर हमारे पास कैंसिल हो जाए. We do the same thing on the other side. उससे हमारे पास चीज आ जाती है. Is that okay? अच्छा, इसका हमारे पास क्या, अब एज को सब्जेक्ट बनाने के हमारे पास क्या बन जाएगा? 9 minus -150 plus 4 whole raised to power 3/2. That is h in terms of t. हमने solve कर ली. We found h in terms of t. Let's look at the third part now. That's interesting. Find the maximum height of the tree and the time taken to reach this height after planting. Yes. Could we possibly just, look at this and figure out what the maximum height would be? इसको देखें sir. This is 9 minus something, right? Bracket के अंदर जो भी होगा, this should be lowest, right? हमें overall height maximum चाहिए. 9 में से कोई चीज subtract कर रहे हैं, तो ये पूरी एक्सप्रेशन हमारे पास लोएस्ट होनी चाहिए. निकालनी है मैक्सिमम हाइट के लिए. as you're saying, we want to think about what could be the minimum value of this number inside. अगर ये अंदर कुछ नेगेटिव आ जाता है, उसकी पावर में मसला हो रहा है, उसकी पावर मैथ एरर दे रही है, तो हमें अंदर वाले पार्ट को जीरो करना है. अंदर वाला पार्ट जीरो हो जाएगा तो हमें क्या मिल जाएगा, क्या रह जाएगा सर? सिर्फ बाहर वाला पार्ट रह जाएगा. दैट इज एक्चुअली 9 हियर. उसने हमें कहा है मैक्सिमम हाइट निकाले सबसे पहले. तो मैक्सिमम हाइट कब होएगी? जब ये आपके पास हाइट क्या आ रही है, 9 आ रही है. दैट्स द मैक्सिमम हाइट. और वो किस पॉइंट के ऊपर होगी? वो उस पॉइंट के ऊपर होगी जब आपके पास ये अंदर वाला पार्ट जीरो होएगा. -1/15t plus 4 equals 0, and that gives you t equals 60. अच्छा, दूसरे तरीके से क्या हो सकता था? इसका दूसरा तरीका क्या हो सकता था? इसके डेरिवेटिव को इक्वल टू 0 इनपुट करते, उससे हमारे पास क्या आया था? dh/dt को हम 0 के इक्वल इनपुट करते, उससे हमारे पास टर्निंग पॉइंट आया था, which would be 9 minus h equals 0, and that would give you h equals 9. h equals 9 फिर आप जाके यहां पे इनपुट कर सकते थे, इसके अंदर इनपुट कर देते. Doesn't really matter. यहाँ पे भी करोगे 9 और 9 कैंसिल हो जाएंगे. You'll get something very simple. आपको सिर्फ ये रह जाएगा, अंदर वाला पार्ट 0 हो जाएगा. So that's actually simpler to think about here. Exactly. So dh/dt हमें क्या पता था? dh/dt was 0.1. 0.1 into 9 minus h whole raised to power 3/2 or 2/3? 2/3. We could put this equal to 0, and that gives us 0.1 into 9 minus h whole raised to power 2/3, which means 9 minus h is equal to 0, h equals 9. This is the height that you get. This is going to be the maximum height. इस वैल्यू को वापस आके इस रिलेशनशिप में इनपुट कर दें, you'll get the corresponding value of t. So that's another way of thinking about this. यहाँ पे it's easier because this equation is pretty straightforward to solve. इसमें सिर्फ एक ही solution आता है आपको. You don't get multiple solutions there. h की वैल्यू सिर्फ 9 आ रही है, उसमें जाके इनपुट कर दें. h equals 9 minus -1/15 times t plus 4 whole raised to power 3/2. यहाँ पे h की वैल्यू 9 इनपुट कर दें, you get 9 equals 9 minus 1/15t plus 4 whole raised to power 3/2. 0 हो जाएगा दूसरी साइड के ऊपर. You're going to be left with -1/15t plus 4 equals 0, और वहां से टाइम की वैल्यू आपके पास आ जाएगी 60. ठीक है? So this could be another way to think about this as well. Okay, let's go back and look at the third part. Calculate the time taken to reach half the maximum height. That's pretty straightforward. Maximum height is 9. Half is 4.5. you input 4.5 here. की जगह 4.5 input कर दिया. 4.5 equals 9 minus -1/15 times t plus 4 whole raised to power 3/2. What does this simplify to? यहाँ पास हो जाएगा -1/15 times t plus 4 whole raised to power 3/2. That equals 4.5. Now we take power 2/3 on both sides. That gives us 4.5 raised to power 2/3. यहाँ से आपके पास t की वैल्यू आ जाएगी. What do we get? 4.5 raised to power 2/3 क्या होता है? Can't be. T की वैल्यू? The final result? Okay. तो इसको आप आगे सॉल्व करोगे? Okay, 2.726 here. I've got -1/15 t on the other side. 4 भी यहाँ पर आ गया. And then you find t from that. t की वैल्यू क्या आती है? So t equals 19.11. Okay, so a tank containing water is in the form of a cone with vertex C. So this is the vertex. The axis is vertical and the semi-vertical angle is 60 degrees. What that means is slant height wala jo angle nazar aa raha hai, that is 60 degrees. So that's already given in the figure. At time t equals 0, the tank is full and the depth of the water is h. So that's one point that you're given. Okay, so keep that in mind. When time is 0, the depth of the water is h. Sorry? At time t equals 0, it's full. Right? So time jab 0 tha tab wo full hai. At this instant, a tap at C is opened and water begins to flow out. The volume of water in the tank decreases at a rate proportional to square root of h. So that's where you are given the statement jahan se aapki equation banegi. Volume of water decreases at a rate proportional to square root of h, where h is the depth of the water at time t. The tank becomes empty. So that's another point that you're given now. The height is 0 when time is 60. That's another point that you've got. First of all, it says show that h and t satisfy a differential equation of this form. P1 में भी करते थे इस तरह की equations. वो तो डेरिवेटिव निकालते थे, तो डेरिवेटिव हमारे पास कुछ होता था. अब उस डेरिवेटिव को हम कह रहे हैं, we treating that as an equation, and we are trying to get back to the original thing, which constant find कर रहे हैं, और उसको यूज करके कुछ और चीजें find कर रहे हैं. Okay, so let's think about this. Volume of water in the tank decreases at a rate proportional to square root of h. Volume की बात हो रही है, it's not about height. तो dv over dt क्या होएगा? dv over dt, it decreases at a rate proportional to square root of h. जब decrease कर रहा होएगा तो rate को हम negative कहेंगे, right? So negative, let's say any constant, let's say k into square root of h. Okay, so that's the rate of change equation that you get from that. अब dv over dt आ गया हमारे पास. अब क्या करना है? इसमें से क्या हम k की वैल्यू फिगर आउट कर सकते हैं? Do we have any point given? कोई पॉइंट दिया हुआ है इसमें इस तरह का? Do we have a point? We don't, right? कोई पॉइंट उसने नहीं दिया हुआ जिससे हम k की वैल्यू फिगर आउट कर सके. पॉइंट का मतलब है आपको किसी पॉइंट के ऊपर h भी पता हो और dv over dt पता हो. We don't have anything like that, right? That's not given. So what do we do then? We leave it as it is, right? हमें find क्या करना है? dh over dt. We've got dv over dt. तो dh over dt कैसे आएगा? dH over dV into dV over dt. dV over dt we already have, dH over dV फाइंड करना है. तो वॉल्यूम और हाइट के दरम्यान में क्या रिलेशनशिप है? इसका कोन का वॉल्यूम का फॉर्मूला क्या होता है? उसने आपको दिया भी होगा, V equals 1 over 3 pi r square h. ठीक है, so we use that. We say V equals 1 over 3 pi r square h. But now the problem is we've got radius there as well, and we also have h there. We have two unknowns. तो radius को हम क्या करेंगे? h के terms में लिखेंगे before we differentiate. Otherwise तो उसको differentiate नहीं कर सकते ना. हम r को भी हमें with respect to h h अलग से differentiate करना पड़ेगा. So we put r in terms of h first. Does that make sense? अगर हमारे सिर्फ volume h के terms में आ जाए, वो कैसे कर सकते हैं? We know that this is h on the figure. This is the radius r of the cone. अच्छा, हम water की बात कर रहे हैं. We're talking about volume of water, not the volume of the whole cone. तो अगर height of the water is h and the radius of the cone is going to be r, इनके दरम्यान रिलेशनशिप क्या आएगा? मैं दूसरी साइड वाला r ले लेता हूँ. So we've got base and perpendicular. We can say perpendicular over the base. Perpendicular यहाँ पे r होएगा. So r over h is equal to tan 60, and r is h tan 60. Tan 60 क्या होता है? Square root of 3, or is it 1 over square root of 3? Tan 60. 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, and it's square root of 3. It's square root of 3, right? Square root of 3 is your tan 60. So that's square root of 3h. That's the relationship between r and h. ठीक है? इसको जाके वहां पे इनपुट कर देते हैं. We get 1 over 3 pi into square root of 3h का whole square into h. That's your volume. We simplify this 3. We are left with pi h cube. That is the volume. And now we differentiate it. dv over dh, that's going to be 3 pi h square. ये जाके वहां पे input कर देंगे. इसके लिए सब clear. Is this clear? Any questions on this? Now we go there, we input this thing there. dh over dt हमारे पास क्या आ जाएगा? It's 1 over 3 pi h square into minus k into square root of h. And now we simplify this. Square root of h ऊपर है, नीचे h raised to power 2 है. It becomes minus k over 3 pi. What about the powers of h? 1 over 2 minus 2. That's minus 3 over 2. 1 over 2 minus 2. And that becomes minus k over 3 pi h raised to power minus 3 over 2. Does this make sense? नीचे पॉजिटिव है ना, ऊपर आके नेगेटिव हो जाएगा. So you have got minus k over 3 pi into h raised to power minus 3 over 2. We needed h raised to power minus 3 over 2 there. अब क्या करें? Are we done with this part? उसने तो कहा था minus a h raised to power minus 3 over 2 शो करें. dh over dt minus a h raised to power minus 3 over 2. उसने ये शो करने के लिए कहा था हमें. Right? Do we have that here? A is a positive constant. Okay. Yes. हमारे पास exactly वही form आ गई. We can say this whole thing is a constant, right? K अगर k constant है, 3 pi भी constant है. K over 3 pi is just another constant. उस दूसरे constant का हमने क्या कह दिया? तो पॉजिटिव ही है ना, क्योंकि हमने माइनस बार लगाया हुआ था. तो k को हम भी पॉजिटिव ही assume कर रहे थे. Right? So if k is positive, k over 3 pi is also going to be positive. So this is of that form, minus h raised to power minus 3 over 2. हमारे पास वही form. Again, this is your dh over dt. h की जगह पे हमने क्या किया? हमने a लिख दिया. सॉरी k/3 पाई की जगह पे हमने क्या किया, हमने ये लिख दिया, dt हमारे पास ये आ गया. Now in the second part it says solve the differential equation given in part 1 and obtain an expression for t in terms of h. That's pretty straightforward. t in terms of h निकाल ले, इसको solve करके let's do this. dh over dt equals minus h minus a h raised to power minus t over 2. How do we solve differential equations? Variables को separate करना है, h को left पे लेकर आना पड़ेगा. It becomes h raised to power 3 over 2, right? जब minus 3 over 2 left पे आएगा, power उसकी positive हो जाएगी, right? On the right side we got minus a. Minus a का आपको मर्जी है, उसको left पे लेकर जाना चाहे लेकर जा सकते हैं, right पे रखने हैं, that's also fine. It's just a constant. Constant किसी भी side पे हो सकता है. So minus a dt. You separated the variables. Once you separate the variables, what you do is you integrate both sides. h raised to power 3 over 2 का integral, that's h raised to power 5 over 2 divided by 5 over 2. That's equal to minus a times t plus c. Okay? You need t in terms of h. T in terms of h. Let's simplify this. You get 2h raised to power 5 over 2 divided by 5 equals minus at plus c. Now we can see if we have any point given to find the value of c. ठीक है, और बस क्या किया, yeah, but yes, but do we have to do that? अच्छा, h and h, yeah. So we also have h there. So हमारे पास actually मसला है कि we've got two unknowns. We've got two unknowns. We've got a and we've got c. दोनों का figure out करना है. दोनों को निकालने के लिए आपको दोनों use करना पड़ेगा one by one. उससे simultaneous equation हो सकता है बन जाए. So let's input t equals 0 and h equals h. सबसे पहले वो input करते हैं. We put t equals 0 and h equals capital H. And then we also put t equals 60 and h equals 0. उसने एक और point दिया हुआ था, but tank becomes empty when time is 60. ये दो चीजें हमने अलग-अलग input करनी. ठीक है? So let's do that. Okay. So we get 2h raised to power 5 over 2 divided by 5. That's equal to minus a into t, which we get 0 there. So that gets eliminated. हमारे पास c directly आ गया in terms of capital H. ये हमारे पास c की value आ गई. c is 2h raised to power 5 over 2 divided by 5. That's the value of c. Okay. Now we do the other thing. t equals 60 input कर दें. We have 2. No. So उसने कहा था solve the differential equation given in part 1. So you have to solve this equation, right? So just use the form that is given. You have to use that form. Okay. So we say 2 into 0. H is 0. So 0 raised to power 5 over 2. That's still going to be 0. Divided by 5. That's equal to minus a into 60 plus c. और c की वैल्यू हमारे पास है. c की वैल्यू क्या है? 2h 5 over 2 divided by 5. Now we have to find the value of a from there. Okay, so that becomes 60a equals 2h raised to power 5 over 2 divided by 5. और a आपके पास यहाँ से आ जाएगा 300 and 1 over 150. 1 over 150 h raised to power 5 over 2. ये आपके पास a की वैल्यू आ गई in terms of capital H. ठीक है? So values input किया, simple algebra use किया, उसके बाद we got this thing. Is that okay? Now we just input these values back there और हमारे पास वो equation आ जाएगी. Two h raised to power 5 over 2 divided by 5 minus a into t. So that's minus 1 over 150. Capital H raised to power 5 over 2 times T plus C, and C is 2H raised to power 5 over 2 divided by 5. Now we make T the subject. ठीक है, T को subject बना लेते हैं. 1 over 150 H 5 over 2 times T. We take everything else to the other side. We have 2 capital H 5 over 2 over 5 minus 2 H 5 over 2 over 5. ये जाके उधर मल्टीप्लाई कर दें आगे. 150 over H raised to power 5 over 2. दोनों जाके वहां पे मल्टीप्लाई कर दें. You get 2H raised to power 5 over 2 over 5 minus 2 over 5 H raised to power 5 over 2. And that gives you 60, yes. Minus 60 and H raised to power 5 over 2 divided by H raised to power 5 over 2. That's T in terms of H. Okay, process वही follow किया. It's just some algebra involved there, and you get this T in terms of H. Okay, now that's the second part, and in the third part it says find the time at which the depth reaches half H. क्या करना है? H को half H input कर देना है sir. So in part 3 now, we just say let's input H equals half H. उससे क्या हो जाएगा? T equals 60 minus 60 into H. H क्या था? It was half H whole raised to power 5 over 2 divided by H raised to power 5 over 2. What do we get from this? We get 60 minus 60 times H raised to power 5 over 2 in the numerator and in the denominator. They will get cancelled. What are we left with? We're just left with 1 over 2 to the power 5 over 2. ठीक है, इसका evaluate कर लेंगे. 2 raised to power 5 over 2, what's that? Square root of 32? Square root of 32? And then you can, just write it in decimals if you want. You can write the exact value, whatever you want. That's fine. Time find करना है आपको. इसको आप directly calculator में input कर दें, देख लें कुछ simplified form आती है, वो डाल दें. Otherwise, you can also put this in decimals. What do we get? 10.61. So that's the value of T that you were looking for. 49 point? Yes, it should be bigger than that. It can't be. 49.3. That's the time that you get. Okay, let's look at this. So in the first part, we have to use partial fractions to find this integral. ठीक है? ये आपने निकाल लिया first part में? What do we get? अच्छा, let's actually do this. 1 over y into 4 minus y dy. How do you integrate it? You first find the partial fractions for this. इसके partial fractions कैसे करेंगे? You say this is a over y plus b over 4 minus y. And that gives you 1 identical to a into 4 minus y plus by. अब एक दफा क्या करोगे? You input y equal to 0 and you get 1 equals 4a plus 0 from that. A equals 1 over 4. A की value आ गई. And then you input y equal to 4 to make the other bracket 0. And that gives you 1 equal to 0 plus 4b. And b is also 1 over 4. A or b की value is 1 over 4 आ गई दोनों की. Now we input these values back there. We say that integral that we were looking for 1 over y into 4 minus y dy is actually the same as integral of 1 over 4y plus 1 over 4 into 4 minus y. It's the same as this integral. इसको integrate करना है, ठीक है? What do we do for this? We can take 1 over 4 common outside. 1 over 4 को बाहर common ले लेंगे, and that gives us 1 over y minus 1 over 4 minus y dy. ठीक है? अच्छा, in fact, we should separate this as well. दोनों को अलग-अलग भी लिख लेते हैं. You've got 1 over y dy, and for the other integral as well, we've got plus 1 over 4 into 1 over 4 minus y dy. Is that clear? दोनों को हमने अलग-अलग से लिख लिया. Now for the first one, we already have the log form. Y का derivative ऊपर है हमारे पास 1, so that becomes 1 over 4 ln of y. So that's pretty straightforward. For the second one, we've got 4 minus y in the denominator. 4 minus y का derivative क्या होता है? Minus 1, so we need minus 1 in the numerator. What we can do is we can change that sign here. और उसकी वजह से क्या होएगा? बाहर वाला sign भी जो है वो negative हो जाएगा. ठीक है? So what do we get then? We get minus 1 over 4 ln of 4 minus y So आपको वो integral find करना था, so you put plus c there as well. That's your integral. Is that okay? So we just found the partial fractions, we converted to a log form, and we integrated that. Now in the second part, we are given that y equals 1 and x equals 0. Given that we have to solve this differential equation, dy over dx equals 4 into y into 4 minus y, obtaining an expression for y in terms of x. That looks pretty straightforward, doesn't it? It's exactly what you have to use for now. Let's think about this. Part 2. Now I've got this differential equation, dy over dx equals y into 4 minus y. Y into 4 minus y. How do we solve this? We separate the variables. It becomes 1 over y into 4 minus y dy. That equals integral of dx. ठीक है? इसको हमने already integrate कर लिया हुआ है. What did we get from this? We got this thing. ठीक है? वो जाके input कर देते हैं. 1 over 4 ln of y minus 1 over 4 ln of 4 minus y. C आप यहीं पे रहने दें if you want. दो साइड पे लगा सकते हैं. That's your choice. 1 dx का integral. That's x plus c. ठीक है? अब क्या करना है हमें? We need y in terms of x. We are given this point when x is 0, y is 1. वो point input कर देते हैं उसके अंदर. We've got this point given. x0, y1. Let's put x equals 0 and y equals 1. And that's given to find the value of c. We get 1 over 4 into ln of 1 minus 1 over 4 into ln of 4 minus 1. That equals 0 plus c. So c की value हमारे पास क्या आ जाती है? Minus 1 over 4 ln 3. ठीक है? That's the value of c from that. ये c की value जब आ जाएगी इसको वापस इसके अंदर input कर देते हैं. So what do we get there? We get 1 over 4 ln of y minus 1 over 4 ln of 4 minus y equals x minus 1 over 4 ln of 3. This is what we get. We need y in terms of x. Y in terms of x. What do we do now? Okay, so we take all log terms on one side, take all log terms on one side, right? What happens if we do that? We get 1/4 into ln of y minus 1/4 into ln of 4 minus y plus 1/4 into ln of 3, that equals x. Now we could take this 1/4 to the powers, but that will make things very complicated. What you can do is you can take 1/4 common. 1/4 common le lete hain, and that gives you ln of y minus ln of 4 minus y plus ln of 3. That equals 4 times x. Achha nahi, that equals x. 4 ko phir wahan pe le jayenge. We got 4x on the other side. We can apply the product and division rules here. It becomes log of 3y. So y और 3 multiply होंगे because they're being added. जो subtract हो रहा है वो denominator में आ जाएगा. So you got 4 minus y in the denominator. ठीक है? Now that log goes to the other side, becomes the base. E basically goes to the other side, becomes the base of 4x. So we get 3y over 4 minus y equals e raised to power 4x. अब y को subject बनाना है. ठीक है? We can take it there. We can multiply that. It becomes 3y equals 4e raised to power 4x minus y e raised to power 4x. We take the y term here on the left side. That becomes 3y plus y e raised to power 4x. That's 4e raised to power 4x on the other side. And then y into 3 plus e raised to power 4x equals 4e raised to power 4x. And y equals 4e raised to power 4x divided by that. Right? It wasn't that difficult, but that was a lot of working for 4 marks. But that's how it sometimes is in paper 3. So that's all that you have to do for that for those 4 marks. That's why in terms of x. Any problems here? Process बहुत आसान था. दोनों sides को सिर्फ integrate कर लिया, c की value निकाल ली, y को subject बना दिया. Okay? अच्छा, अब third part में वो क्या कहता है? State what happens to the value of y if x becomes very large and positive. Okay, let's go there. Numerator और denominator equal हो जाएंगे. Numerator में infinity होगा, denominator में infinity होगा. So what do we get then? 1. This whole thing becomes 1. Answer 4. 4 कॉमन ले लेंगे. अगर इसका 4 के बाहर लग तो अच्छा देखें. Yes, so infinity and 4 times infinity, they are significantly different from each other, right? So infinity के अंदर भी आपके पास smaller and larger infinity का concept होता है. So you've got something squared, infinity का square और सिर्फ infinity, they're pretty different from each other. अब 3 add कर रहे हो सिर्फ, 3 is a very small number, right? So 1 trillion में 3 add कर दो, doesn't make it much difference, right? Like 1 trillion को 4 से multiply कर दो, that makes a lot of difference, right? So आप इसको ऐसे लिख सकते हो 4 into e raised to power 4x over 3 plus e raised to power 4x. So if x was to become extremely large, you can say these two terms are approximately equal. अच्छा नीचे 4 आ गया, sorry. Yes, 3 plus e raised to power 4x. So basically what अच्छा यहाँ पे लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको ये process explain करने की जरूरत नहीं होती. हमेशा इस तरह के questions में आपको वो कहेगा state the value of something. So you don't really have to show any process there, but this is the reasoning behind it. हम क्या सोच रहे हैं यहाँ पे? We're basically saying as x goes to infinity, e raised to power 4x is actually the same thing as 3 plus e raised to power 4x. उनमें कोई खास difference नहीं है. And that implies that e raised to power 4x over 3 plus a raised to power 4x is basically just approximately equal to 1. जब ये पूरा 1 हो जाएगा, what are you left with? You're left with 4. So that is what happens to the value of y as x becomes extremely large, that we have when x is 25.
We need to separate the variables.
We need to separate the variables. Okay, so that's how we started. We need the t terms on the right side and x terms on the left side. So it's going to become e raised to power minus 2t dt on the right side, and on the left side we have 1 over cos square x dx. Now we integrate both sides. What do we get from the integral? How do you integrate 1 over cos square x?
It's secant squared x.
It's secant square x, right? Yes, so we did this yesterday. Cos square, 1 over cos square becomes secant square x. And then we can integrate that directly. It becomes tan of x equals minus e raised to power minus 2t divided by 2 plus c. Okay? Now we have a point given. The point is t0 when x is equal to 0. Now you input those values here. You put t equals 0 and x equals 0. When both of them are 0, we get tan of 0 equals minus e raised to power 0 divided by 2 plus c. Tan of 0 is 0. E raised to power 0 is 1, so that's minus 1 over 2 plus c. C turns out to be 1 over 2. C की value आ गई. You input that back there in that equation, and you get tan x equals minus e raised to power minus 2t divided by 2 plus 1 over 2. Okay? Now, what did you need to do? You have to solve this differential equation, obtaining an expression for x in terms of t. X को subject बनाना है अब. How can we do that? How can you make x the subject?
Tan inverse.
Tan inverse, right? So this becomes x equals tan inverse of this whole thing. That's all you have to do there. Right? Pretty short for 6 marks. Now, the second part is why, second and third parts are actually why I wanted to do this question. State what happens to the value of x when t becomes very large. When t becomes very large, what happens to the value of x? You've got this thing here, right? X in terms of t. As t becomes very large का मतलब है as t goes to infinity, right? So it becomes extremely large. T की value बहुत बड़ी हो जाए. तो क्या होगा इस पूरे expression को? What about x in that case?
Won't x go near 0?
Won't x go near 0? Are you sure?
Because it would be negative.
You're thinking about this going to 0, right? This will become 0. Why
Yeah.
would that be?
Because if t is greater than e की जो like negative value like power जो है वो और बड़ी like negative और बड़ी होती जा रही है. So that would go near to like जितनी बड़ी होती जाएगी वो near 0 more.
Yes, so as t goes to infinity, as t becomes extremely large, e raised to power minus 2t, इसका मतलब क्या है? 1 over, or let's actually write down here, e raised to power minus 2t, that goes to 0. Why is that? Because अगर t की जगह infinity input कर दे, what does that become? E raised to power minus infinity. That's the same thing as saying 1 over e raised to power infinity. E raised to power infinity is just infinity. 1 over infinity, that is 0. So basically, denominator में बहुत ही बड़ा number आ जाता है. So it's approximately 0. Not equal to 0, but it approaches 0. So this is what we say. As t becomes extremely large, e raised to power minus 2t जो है वो 0 हो जाता है. What are we left with? we are left with x equals tan inverse of 1 over 2. बाकी तो 0 हो गया ना? What are we left with? Tan inverse of 1 over 2. That's what happens to the value of x. This is the form that we had to make there. X increases as t increases. इसका क्या मतलब है? अगर हम इसे ग्राफ ड्रॉ करें, it's going to be like this with positive gradient. इसका मतलब ये है कि ग्रेडियंट आपका पॉजिटिव होना चाहिए, ये आपको शो करना है. Gradient should be positive. We have the gradient already, dx over dt. dx over dt, अगर हम इसको सब्जेक्ट बना लें, it becomes e raised to power minus 2t into cos square of x. Gradient is this thing. This is the gradient. We know that this can never be negative. This has to be greater than 0. It's a positive number raised to power anything. It has to be always greater than 0. This is a square. This is also greater than or equal to 0. ये भी कभी भी 0 से छोटा नहीं हो सकता. Both of them are positive or 0. So we say the gradient therefore is positive, and that's why x increases as t increases. It's an increasing function. Increasing function. An underground storage tank is being filled with liquid as shown in the diagram. Initially, the tank is empty. So why are you told that? You're basically being told that when time is 0, the volume of water inside the tank is 0. Okay? At time t hours, after filling the gens, the volume of the liquid and the depth of liquid, which is h meters. So we've got some variables here, v, h, and t. Volume and depth of liquid is volume is v, depth is h. It is given that v equals 4 over 3 h cube. So volume का उसने formula दिया हुआ है. The liquid is poured in at a rate of 20 meter cube per hour. Owing to leakage, liquid is lost at a rate proportional to h square, and you're also given this point. एक आपको एक और point दिया हुआ है, when h is 1, dh over dt is given to be 4.95. So these are two pieces of information that we're given. जो ऊपर दिया हुआ था और जो नीचे दिया हुआ है. This is the line that basically tells us the relationship. कि आपके पास equation किस तरह से बनेगी. We first have to show that h satisfies this differential equation. dh over dt equals 5 over h square minus 1 over 20. पहले वो differential equation बनानी है. How do you do that? What relationship are we given? We are given that liquid is poured in at a rate of 20 meter cube. Do we say dh over dt is equal to 20? dv over dt, right? So this is 20 meter cube. This is 20 meter cube. Water जो है वो हम volume के अंदर measure करते हैं. We don't measure length of water or height of water. तो हम क्या लिखेंगे? dv over dt. What is the rate of inflow? It's 20. And then it's being lost at a rate proportional to h square. Minus क्या करेंगे इसमें से? K times h square. That's what we subtract from this because that's the rate of outflow. ठीक है? Proportional to h square रखा हुआ है, that's K times h square. So that's the equation that we have from the information given, dv over dt से. We have to show something in terms of h and t. dh over dt आपको find करना है. We are also given that v equals 4 over 3 h cube. What we can do from here is we can find dv over dh. Why would we need that? Because हमें dh over dt find करना है. We don't have that directly from here, but what we can do is we can use the chain rule like this. We can say dh से हम start करेंगे, end पे dt आना चाहिए, and in the middle we got that third variable, and the third variable is dv. We already have dv over dt. What we need is dh over dv. Since we are given d equals 4 over 3h cube, we can differentiate it, and that gives us dv over dh equals 4 over 3 into 3. That's going to become 4h square. That's the derivative here. If this is dv over dh, dh over dv क्या हो जाएगा? That's going to be 1 over 4 h square. dv over dt, that is 20 minus kh square. Okay, this is dh over dt. This is what we needed to find. But now we have to find the value of k from there. We're given a point. We're given that when h is 1, dh over dt is 4.95. That's what is given there. Okay, we have a point. We input that there and you find the value of k. Let's find that. Let's input h equals 1 and dh over dt equal to 4.95. ये उसने बताया हुआ था हमें. We're just inputting that here. dh, अच्छा dh over dt, that was 4.95 equals 1 over 4 into h square, which is just going to be 4, into 20 minus kh square, which is again k into 1 plus square. That gives us 4.95 into 4. On the other side, we've got 20 minus k. And you can find the value of k from here. What do we get? 0.2? 0.2, right? So that's the value of k that we get. Okay, so we have the value of k. What do we do now? We input this back in that equation. dh over dt के अंदर वापस input कर दें इसको और उसको फिर आपने इस फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट करना है. ठीक है, so let's see how we can do that. We put this back in this form. dh over dt is equal to 1 over 4 h square into 20 minus 0.2 h square. Here we've got two separate terms. So हम उसको break कर लेंगे दो separate terms के अंदर. We can say this is the same thing as saying 20 over 4h square minus 0.2h square divided by 4h square. What does this give us? 20 over 4 is going to be 5. That's 5 over h square minus 0.2 over 4. So 5 से अगर multiply कर दें, we get 1 over 20. And h square and h square get cancelled. This is what we have. 5 over h square minus 1 over 20. And that's what we needed. Part. In the second part, it says verify that this thing is equivalent 20 h square over 100 minus h square. Let me write that here. 20 h square over 100 minus h square. Verify that this is equivalent to minus 20 plus 2000 over 10 minus h into 10 plus h. We have to verify this. It's a 1 mark question. What do we do? How do you verify this? Do we find the partial fractions for this? We can actually do the right side. We can start from the right side. We can take LCM of the right side. Right? LCM is much quicker than finding partial fractions. Since we just have to prove that these are equivalent, rather than starting from the left side, we just simplify the right side. उसमें LCM ले लेते हैं. So if we take LCM there, what do we get? We get minus 20 into 10 minus h. अच्छा पहले उसको multiply भी कर लेते हैं. Before we take LCM, it's going to be minus 20 plus 2000. This is a minus b into a plus b, which is 100 minus h square. That's what we've got in the denominator. Now we take the LCM, it becomes minus 20 into 100 minus h square plus 200 plus 2000 divided by 100 minus h square. And that gives us minus 2000 plus h square, no, plus 20 h square plus 2000 over 100 minus 8 square, and that's what we get. 28 square over 100 minus 8 square, which is the same thing as what we had on the left-hand side, right? So rather than finding partial fractions, this is what we do. We find the LCM of the right side. Now we have to solve the differential equation in part 1. So using what we are given in the earlier part, it says hence solve the differential equation. That means we might use this result from the second part somehow here. Solve this differential equation, obtaining an expression for t in terms of h. So now we have to solve that differential equation. So what did we have there? We had this expression. dh over dt is equal to 5 over 8 square minus 1 over 20. This was what we found in the first part. We have to solve this differential equation. What do we do for solving a differential equation? We first separate the variables, right? We need h on the left side and we need all the t terms on the right. There's no t term as such, so h को सिर्फ left पे लेकर जाना है. लेकिन वो भी multiplication form में होना चाहिए. It cannot be. So if you take, let's say, अगर मैं dt को यहाँ पे ले आता हूँ, let's say dh over dt, no, dh equals 5 over 8 square minus 1 over 20 dt. How do I take the h term on the left side? वो कैसे लेके जा सकते हैं? h को मैं left side पे कैसे लेके जाऊँगा? Well, I have to find the LCM for this, right? So even though the first part में हमसे पहले combined form से उसको separate करवाया था, in order to separate the variables in this case, we will first have to take the LCM and then take h to the left side. So rather than doing this, what we do is we make it one single fraction ताकि हम उसको separate कर सकें. What do we get? We get 100 minus 8 square divided by 28 square from this. Okay. Now we can separate the variables. We can take both of these terms to the left side and it becomes 28 square divided by 100 minus 8 square dh. On the right side we have nothing, so that's one base. इसको left पे लेके जा रहे हैं तो the right side we got dt. Now we take integral on both sides. Right side पे कुछ नहीं है, तो it's like we have a 1 there. अब इसको integrate करना है, ठीक है? On the right side we already have just 1, a constant. उसको हम directly integrate कर सकते हैं. That's just going to be t there, and we can add a constant with that if you want. Now we have to integrate what we have on the left side there. 28 square over 100 minus 8 square. We need to integrate this. We can separate it out. So इसमें हमें सोचने की जरूरत भी नहीं है, because उसने कहा हुआ है कि आपको पिछला part use करना है. So it will become simpler if you were to make it in this form first. ठीक है, इस form में convert करके it will become relatively simpler. So let's do that here. ये दो fractions कैसे बन जाएंगी? Can we break it down? वो denominator में है ना, numerator में अगर separate terms होती वो बन सकती थी, यहाँ पे नहीं कर सकते. Okay, so this becomes that form that was given, and that was minus 20 plus 2000 over 10 minus h into 10 plus h. This is the form that we had there. We have to integrate this thing now. Okay? How do we integrate this? Minus 20 ka integral, to we know that's just going to be minus 20h. The problem is this part, the second part. We can leave it like this, or we can say this is 2000 over 1000, 100 minus 8 square. ये आपके पास इसको हमें integrate करना पड़ेगा. How can we do this? Can we apply log here? It's a fraction. Can we apply log? We can't. At this point, we can't. Can we apply tan inverse? We can't. We need plus for that. Tan inverse के लिए हमें plus चाहिए होता है denominator के अंदर. Let me show you the forms that we have. Okay. So tan inverse के लिए we need 1 over x square plus a square. We need x square plus a square. यहाँ पे we got a subtraction. Third option हमारे पास क्या होती है फिर? Third option क्या होती है? Partial fractions, right? So the way to do this integral would be by partial fractions. Is that okay? Lekin, remember we did two forms that are already given in the formula sheet directly. So you won't have to do it step by step. There were two other forms in the formula sheet that we talked about. And they were these. It will work if you use partial fractions. उससे भी आपसे हो जाएगा, but you'll have to do some working for that. You can do this directly like this. It's this form, or in fact the second form, this form, sum constant minus x square. X की जगह यहाँ पे h है. We can say this is minus 20h. और यहीं पे मैं लिख सकता हूँ इसको. This is actually n square minus 8 square. Okay? 2000 को बाहर लेकर जा सकते हैं. वो multiply होना in any case, so it doesn't really matter. We can take that outside. It becomes 1 over 10 square minus 8 square dh. On the right side, we have t plus c. This is t plus c. Now this is that form exactly. जहाँ पे a की जगह क्या आएगा हमारे पास? We've got 10. So it's this form. In place of a, we have 10 now. इसका integral क्या है? It's just going to be this thing. You can write that directly. Okay. So this is minus 20h plus 2000. 1 over 10 square minus 8 square. A की जगह 10 है. इस फॉर्म में बस a की जगह 10 इनपुट कर देना. So it becomes 1 over 2 times a. So 1 over 2 into 10 multiplied by ln of a plus x. So that's 10 plus h here because we have h as the variable. Divided by 10 minus h. And we've got t plus c on the other side. That is the integration of this thing. How do you find the value of c now? Yes? Usne kaha, initially the tank is empty. Initially the tank is empty. That means at time 0, volume is 0 and also height is 0, the volume 0, the height of water be of course 0 hoegi. We put that here. We say when time is equal to 0, h is also going to be 0. And what do we get from that? We have 0 plus 2000 over 20, which is 100. Zero plus 100 into ln of 10 0 over 10 minus 0, which is just 1. ln 1 to वैसे 0 होता है. On the other side, you've got t, that is also 0, plus c. So everything basically becomes 0. 0 plus 100 into ln of 1 equals c, और c की value हमारे पास यहाँ से क्या आ जाती है? It's 0. So basically, t in terms of h is just going to be that expression we found there. इसको लिख देंगे यहाँ पे. This expression now, it becomes minus 20h plus 100 ln of 10 plus h divided by 10 minus h. That is your t. This is t in terms of h. Good. Let's look at question number 38. We have 5 minutes left and we have to mark attendance as well. Can somebody tell me the answers to... so we have this. K equals minus 2 over e. And what's the relation between x, k and t? ये क्या आता है? इसके last part में issue, right? Okay. Yes? So this is 38. Okay, 38 में we have one form like this. Can somebody write this down? ln x minus ln 10 equals minus. Okay. Yes? ln x. Whole power minus one? Minus t? Yes? ln. Is this correct? Okay. Now in the second part, you have shown that k equals 1 minus 2 over e, right? उसकी value यहाँ पे input कर दें. 1 minus 2 over e. That's 1 minus 2 over e plus e raised to power minus t plus ln of 1 minus 2 over e plus 1. On the left side, we've got ln x minus ln of 10. Is that okay? Okay, so what do we do now? We can simplify this a bit. यहाँ पे हमारा 1 or 1, that's 1 plus 1, right? Okay, that's going to become 2. We have ln of, sorry? x20 there, that was for the first part, just to find the value of k. X is a variable, that will remain x. So we have minus ln, or we can take the other ln first, minus वाला बाद में लिख देते हैं. ln of 2 plus 2 minus 2 over e minus ln of 1 minus 2 over e plus e raised to power minus t. Okay? This is what we have. Now, what we have to find is show that the number of organisms never reaches 48. Number of organisms को उसने किससे represent किया हुआ है? X के साथ. So X is the number of organisms. We find X in terms of T first. How will we do that? We apply the rule on the left side. It becomes X over 10. On the right side, it becomes 2 minus 2 over E divided by 1 minus 2 over E plus E raised to power minus T. ln, we get rid of ln on both sides. It becomes X over 10 equals 2 minus 2 over E divided by 1 minus 2 over E plus E raised to power minus T. Is that clear until here? And that gives you X equals 10 multiplied by this whole thing, minus 2 over E divided by 1 minus 2 over E plus E raised to power minus T. Is this clear until here? Okay. So this is what we've got, X in terms of T. Now, we have to show that the number of organisms never reaches 48, however large T becomes. Where do we have T here? That's only here in this particular term. e raised to power minus t, यहां पे सिर्फ हमारे पास t है. As t becomes large, as t goes to infinity, t बहुत large हो जाएगा, e raised to power minus t को क्या होएगा? So that's like e raised to power minus infinity, which is 1 over e raised to power infinity, and that's essentially 0. When t becomes extremely large, this thing gets eliminated. Is that okay? So as t goes to infinity, e raised to power minus t goes to 0. आपके पास क्या बच गया? 10 into 2 minus 2 over e divided by 1 minus 2 over e. ये आप evaluate करें, देखें क्या आता है? 47.84. This is the maximum value that it might reach even if t was to go to infinity, right? So it can never reach 48. It can never reach 48. So this is the largest possible x. वो इसको भी कभी reach नहीं करेगा वैसे, because time cannot go to infinity, right? लेकिन इसके maximum भी जाएगा तो इसके पास जा सकता है, इससे ऊपर नहीं जा सकता. This is the largest possible value of x. It cannot reach 48. Okay, so a water tank has vertical sides and a horizontal rectangular base. You've all read the question already. So let's quickly try to do this. Area of base is given. Time 0 ke upar. Okay, so you've got water inflow ka rate or outflow ka rate. H is the height. Differential equation H and T. Okay, all right. So आपको H और T में differential equation एक बनानी है. So dH over dt. But what are you given? You're given the rate of change of volume. ठीक है? Water की quantity आप कैसे measure करते हो? Volume के अंदर measure करते हो. So what is this going to be? dV over dt. So we have dV over dt. That should be the rate of inflow, which is 1. And minus the rate of outflow, which is 0.2 square root of h. That's dv over dt. अच्छा, और आपको क्या चाहिए? आपको dv by dh आपको चाहिए होगा for yes. Okay, so dh over dt, इसके लिए आपको chain rule use करना पड़ेगा. dh over dv into dv over dh. So the other thing that we need is dv over dh. V और H में क्या relationship होगा? We know the area of the base. That's 2. Okay. So we know area of the base. That's 2. Height is H. So volume is going to be 2 times H. dV over dH. dV over dH is 2. नहीं. dV over dH is equal to. ठीक है? ये आपके पास दोनों चीजें आ गई. अब आप क्या करोगे? उसके अंदर इनपुट कर दोगे. So dH over dt is equal to dH over dV, which is 1 over 2, into dV over dt, which is 1 minus 0.2 square root of h. अब इसमें क्या करेंगे? हमें इंटीग्रेट करने के लिए क्या करना पड़ता है? पहले वी हैव टू सेपरेट द वेरिएबल्स, राइट? सो वेरिएबल्स कैसे सेपरेट करें? यहाँ पे हमें t सब्जेक्ट चाहिए, तो t को एक साइड पे ले जाएं और h वाले टर्म्स को एक साइड पे ले जाएं. यू गेट 1 over 1 minus 0.2 square root of h into dh. On the other side you've got 1 over 2 dt. अब 2 को भी वहां पे लेके जाना चाहते हैं, you can take that there. If you do take it there, it becomes 2 over this, and the other side you've got dt. ठीक है? Now you integrate both sides. अब इंटीग्रेट करते हैं इस साइड को और इस साइड को. राइट साइड विद रिस्पेक्ट टू t इंटीग्रेट होगी. मैं इसको इंटरचेंज कर रहा हूँ. So मैं t को यहाँ पे लेफ्ट साइड पे लिख रहा हूँ. On the right, on the other side, I've got 2 over 1 minus 0.2 into square root of h. जो उसने कहा हुआ है हमें फॉर्म, उसमें ऊपर 10 आ रहा है. हमारे पास 2 आ रहा है, right? How can we make that 2 10? 5 से multiply कर दें. So we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 5. ठीक है? So if we do that, we get 2 into 5 5 into 2 over 5 into 1 minus 0.2 into square root of h. That's what you get. ठीक है. अच्छा, यहाँ पे क्योंकि उसने शो करने का कहा हुआ है, इट्स गोइंग टू बी सेफर टू शो दिस स्टेप एज वेल कि आप 5 से मल्टीप्लाई कर रहे हो रादर देन राइटिंग इट डायरेक्टली. Yeah, so it's safer to do this because उसने आंसर दिया हुआ है, वो वर्किंग को बहुत जो है ना केयरफुली चेक करेगा कि आपने एक एक स्टेप शो किया. ओके. अच्छा, so what do you get from this? एक साइड पे आपके पास कांस्टेंट आएगा वैसे तो, लेकिन आपको क्योंकि कहां से कहां तक इंटीग्रेट करना है, यू नीड द टाइम फॉर द हाइट टू रीच 4 meters. तो 0 से स्टार्ट की और 4 पे पहुंची, राइट? 0 से लेकर 4 तक आपको टाइम फाइंड करना है. यानी कि आप लिमिट्स यूज कर सकते हो रादर देन यूजिंग अ कांस्टेंट. आप प्लस सी भी डाल सकते थे, लेकिन आपको 0 से 4 तक चाहिए टाइम, तो आप लिमिट्स यूज कर दो. अगर आप लिमिट्स यूज करते हो, कांस्टेंट खत्म हो जाता है, राइट? बिकॉज कांस्टेंट इन एनी केस कैंसिल हो जाना होता है, सो वी डोंट कंसिडर दैट एंड वी से we want to integrate this thing from 0 to 4. Why are we doing that? Because हमें 0 से लेकर 4 height तक time चाहिए. Is this clear? And now we simplify this. जब 0 से 4 तक करेंगे तो टाइम की वैल्यू क्या हो जाएगी हमारे पास? Let's keep it like this for now. Let's say हमारे पास ये dh है. अब हम जब इनपुट करेंगे, टाइम को h इनपुट कर देंगे और नॉट टाइम को हम c इनपुट कर देंगे और हाइट जो है वो 0 to 4 जा रही है. ठीक है. सो स्मॉल t की जगह we got capital T and it's going from 10 over 5 minus square root of h dh. Limits are from 0 to 4 and that's your proof for the first part. So we've got this differential equation. ये आगे differential equation. अब क्या करना है? उसने कहा है use this substitution and find the value. So basically हमें इसे इंटीग्रेट करना है. T equals integral of 10 over 5 minus square root of h dh. इसको इंटीग्रेट करना है from 0 to 4. ठीक है. What is the substitution that we're using here? U equals 5 minus square root of h. Okay. अच्छा, जब substitution दी होती है हमें क्या करना पड़ता है? du over dh find करना पड़ेगा. So we differentiate it and see what we get from this. du over dh, that's minus half into h raised to power minus 1 over 2, or we can say that's minus 1 over 2 square root of h. That's du over dh. Okay. अच्छा, अब ये जाके इनपुट करना है उसके अंदर. अब dh भी यहाँ पे, so let's actually do that. We input it here. अभी लिमिट्स को भी इग्नोर कर रहे हैं, उसको लिमिट्स के बाद में चेंज करते हैं. In the numerator we've got 10, in the denominator we get u. dh की जगह आप क्या करेंगे? We make dh the subject here. अगर dh को सब्जेक्ट बनाते हैं, what do we get? We get 1 over we get minus 2 square root of h du. Right? अगर dh को सब्जेक्ट बनाते हैं, that's what we get. यहाँ पे इनपुट करते हैं, we get minus 2 square root of h du. एक मिनट रुक कंप्लीट करने. ओके, इज दिस क्लियर? अब मसला ये है कि हमारे पास अभी भी एक h आ रहा है, इसको भी एलिमिनेट करना पड़ेगा. इसको कैसे एलिमिनेट करें? वी गॉट u इक्वल्स 5 माइनस स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ h. उससे हम क्या कर सकते हैं? वी कैन से स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ h इज इक्वल टू 5 माइनस u. तो स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ h को आप रिप्लेस कर देंगे 5 माइनस u के साथ, ताकि वो h पे एलिमिनेट हो. Is that okay? Yes. आपको ना लिखना चाहिए था ग्रुप में, we're not having a test today. Okay. I was not expecting कि इतने लोग जो है वो मस्त करेंगे, but okay. So 10 over u and you have integral of minus 2 into 5 minus u. Okay. अब सब कुछ हमारे पास u की टर्म्स में आ गया. Is this clear until this point? Okay. Now let's simplify this. इसको simplify करते हैं. हमारे पास क्या आ जाता है? Minus 100 plus 20u over u du. Right? Okay. So 20u minus 100 over u, इसको आपने इंटीग्रेट करना है. अब इसको इंटीग्रेट कर लेते हैं. या अब लिमिट्स भी यहाँ पे इंटरचेंज करना है. अच्छा, यहाँ पे आपने साथ साथ लिमिट 0 to 4 नहीं लिखनी है. because now it's du, it's not dh anymore. Limits आपकी h की थी, अब आपको limits change करनी पड़ेंगी u की limits के ऊपर. So you had h equals 4 there and h equals 0 there. अच्छा, limits change कर लेते हैं. So what do we have? We've got u equals 5 minus square root of h. When h is 0, what do we get? U is 5. When h is 4, that gives us u equal to 5 minus 2, which is 3. Achha, some of you were asking me this question. 5 minus square root of 4. Are we going to use plus and minus here for 4? यहाँ पे 5 minus 2 एक ये possibility हो सकती है, और एक 5 minus 2 एक ये possibility हो सकती है. Right? So Minahil asked about this. Hamza asked about this. देखिए, remember this rule. So, हमने ये discussion एक दफा की थी A1 के अंदर. Somebody, I think Jamil asked about it, or maybe somebody else. मोमिन ने पूछा था. देखिए, अगर आपके पास square root पहले से लगा हुआ है, you're not applying it yourself. इस notation का मतलब है you're only considering the positive value. अगर negative value यहाँ पे होती तो इसके बाहर minus लगा होता, right? तो in fact यहाँ पे minus लगा तो हम सिर्फ negative consider कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, right? We're not considering the other possibility. Square root of 4 का सिर्फ एक result है, that is 2. अगर ये ऑलरेडी स्क्वायर रूट लगा हुआ है, आपने खुद नहीं लगाया. अगर आपके पास इस तरह से है x square equals 4, now you apply square root on both sides yourself, that will be plus minus square root of 4. फिर आप खुद वहां पे लगाओगे प्लस या माइनस. यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी स्क्वायर रूट है और उसके बाहर माइनस लगा हुआ है, तो यानी कि आप सिर्फ वो एक ही केस कंसिडर कर रहे हो, you're not considering any other case. So the thumb rule is, if the square root is already there, you don't have to put plus minus. If you are applying square root yourself, then you put plus minus. Is that okay? The plus one, that's the principal square root, but that's already given. So the convention is कि आप normally positive value consider करते हो, ठीक है? Okay. अगर वो already square root लगा हुआ है, if you're not applying it yourself. अच्छा, अब देखिए लिमिट्स हमारे पास आ गई. 0 की जगह h equals 0 की जगह हमारे पास u equals 5 आ गया, और h equals 4 की जगह u equals 3 आ गया. Now here you have to be careful. 0 हमारे पास lower limit थी, यहाँ पे u की वैल्यू 5 आ रही है. So one way to do this is you say this is 5, the lower limit here is 5, and the upper limit here is 3. That's how you start. You don't just put the bigger number as the upper limit and the smaller number as the lower limit. जो correspond कर रहे हैं, 0 is corresponding to 5 and 4 is corresponding to 3. तो आपने उन्हीं जगहों पे वहां पे लगना है. So आपकी जो यहाँ पे limits बन रही हैं, I were to write them here, u equals 3 आपके पास upper limit है, u equals 5 lower limit है. So you got, sorry, the other way around. U equals 3 is the upper limit and u equals 5 is the lower limit. Okay, so it looks like this, 5 to 3. इस तरह evaluate करना पड़ेगा इसे. अगर आप इसको opposite करते हो, so there's a general rule for this that we have, which I think we did in paper 1 at some point. I'm not sure if I told you about that. लेकिन अगर आपको ना भी पता हो, अपने limits आप देखें correspond कैसे करेंगे. 0 की जगह 5 आ रहा है, तो आपने 5 नीचे रखा है, और 4 की जगह 3 आ रहा है, 3 आपके पास ऊपर आ रहा है, ठीक है? So there's a general rule that we have for integrals. If you've got limits like this, f of x dx को आप integrate करते हो with limits from a to b is n, a से b तक आप इन limits के साथ integrate करते हो, that is equivalent to minus ba. अगर आपने limits interchange करनी हो, you put a negative sign outside. आपका sign change हो जाता है, right? Because you know this evaluates to f of b minus f of a. ये उल्टा आएगा, so this will be minus f of a minus f of b. Right? So ये एक दूसरे के equivalent हो जाएंगे. That's why the sign reverses. Does that make sense? ओके सो अब इसके बाद वाला प्रोसेस तो बहुत सिंपल है. अगर आप इसको इसी तरह रख लें, लिमिट्स को ऐसे ही रख सकते हैं, या अगर आपने इंटरचेंज करना है लिमिट्स को माइनस साइन लगाना पड़ेगा. ओके सो नाउ द रेस्ट ऑफ द प्रोसेस इज वेरी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. आपने इसको इंटीग्रेट करना है फ्रॉम 5 to 3 and that's minus 100 over u plus 20 u over u with respect to u. तो ये क्या हो जाएगा अगर आप इसको स्प्लिट कर लें दो पार्ट्स के अंदर, यू गॉट minus 100 over u plus 20. इसको इंटीग्रेट करना है और आपने 20 को इंटीग्रेट करना है, राइट, फ्रॉम 5 to 3. So what do you get from this? minus 100 ln of u, that's the integral of this, right? 100 तो बाहर चला गया, 1 over u का integral ln u होता है. Limits for this are from 5 to 3. And similarly for the other one, you've got 20u. इसकी इकट्ठी limits अगर लगा दें from 5 to 3, you can see what you get from that. Minus 100 into ln 5 plus 20. So minus 100 ln 3 plus 20 into 3. That's the upper limit. Minus 100 into ln 5 plus 20 into 5. That's how you'll do this. Okay. You simplify this, you get minus 100 ln of 3 plus 60 plus 100 ln 5 minus 100. So that gives you 100 ln 3 or ln 5 minus 100 ln 3 minus 40. That should be what you get at the end. इसका डेसिमल्स में लगता है 11.08, और यहाँ पे उसने एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू नहीं कहा हुआ था. कभी कभी उसमें कहते हैं एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू, तो आप उसमें फिर ln को आपको एक सिंगल ln बनाना पड़ता है, राइट. तो ln 5 over 3 लिख सकते थे उसको 100 के साथ. सो दैट्स व्हाट यू गेट एट द एंड. अच्छा, सो जनरली आपके पास पेपर के ऊपर इंस्ट्रक्शन होती है कवर पेज के ऊपर दैट योर आंसर शुड बी 3 significant figures. ओके, बट दैट जनरली मींस इट हैज टू बी मिनिमम 3 significant figures. 3 से ज्यादा हो सकता, ठीक है. अगर क्वेश्चन के अंदर कोई इंस्ट्रक्शन दी हो वो आपको फॉलो करनी होती है. अगर फॉर एग्जाम्पल क्वेश्चन में उसने कहा है कि आपको 3 significant figures करना है, उसमें अगर आप 4 कर दोगे यू विल लूज 1 mark फॉर दैट, ठीक है. अगर क्वेश्चन की स्टेटमेंट के अंदर इंस्ट्रक्शन है वो आपको जरूरी है फॉलो करना, अदरवाइज आप 3 significant figures से ज्यादा रख सकते हैं.